Lesson 45. God is the mind with which I think. Today's idea holds the key to what your real thoughts are. They are nothing that you think, just as nothing that you think you see is related to vision in any way. There is no relationship between what is real and what you think is real. Nothing that you think are your real thoughts resemble your real thoughts in any respect. Nothing that you think you see bears any resemblance to what vision will show you. You think with the mind of God, therefore you share your thoughts with Him as He shares His with you. They are the same thoughts because they are thought by the same mind. To share is to make alike or to make one. Nor do the thoughts you think with the mind of God leave your mind, because thoughts do not leave their source. Therefore your thoughts are in the mind of God as you are. They are in your mind as well, where He is. As you are part of His mind, so are your thoughts part of His mind. Where then are your real thoughts? Today we will attempt to reach them. We will have to look for them in your mind because that is where they are. They must still be there because they cannot have left their source. What is thought by the mind of God is eternal, being part of creation. Our 3 5-minute practice periods for today will take the same general form that we used in applying yesterday's idea. We will attempt to leave the unreal and seek for the real. We will deny the world in favor of truth. We will not let the thoughts of the world hold us back. We will not let the beliefs of the world tell us that what God would have us do is impossible. Instead, we will try to recognize that only what God would have us do is possible. We will also try to understand that only what God would have us do is what we want to do. And we will also try to remember that we cannot fail in doing what He would have us do. There is every reason to feel confident that we will succeed today. It is the will of God. Begin the exercises for today by repeating the idea to yourself, closing your eyes as you do so. Then spend a fairly short period in thinking a few relevant thoughts of your own, keeping the idea in mind. After you've added some 4 or 5 thoughts of your own to the idea, repeat it again and tell yourself gently, "My real thoughts are in my mind. I would like to find them." Then try to go past all the unreal thoughts that cover the truth in your mind and reach to the eternal. Under all the senseless thoughts and mad ideas with which you have cluttered up your mind are the thoughts that you thought with God in the beginning. They are there in your mind now, completely unchanged. They will always be in your mind, exactly as they always were. Everything you have thought since then will change, but the foundation on which it rests is wholly changeless. It is this foundation toward which the exercises for today are directed. Here is your mind joined with the mind of God. Here are your thoughts one with His. For this kind of practice, only one thing is necessary. Approach it as you would an altar dedicated in heaven to God the Father and to God the Son. For such is the place you are trying to reach. You will probably be unable as yet to realize how high you are trying to go. Yet even with the little understanding you have already gained, you should be able to remind yourself that this is no idle game, but an exercise in holiness and an attempt to reach the kingdom of heaven. In the shorter exercise periods for today, try to remember how important it is to you to understand the holiness of the mind that thinks with God. Take a minute or two as you repeat the idea throughout the day to appreciate your mind's holiness. Stand aside, however briefly, from all thoughts that are unworthy of Him whose host you are, and thank Him for the thoughts He is thinking with you. God is the mind with which I think. God is the mind with which I think. Love is the mind with which I think. Holiness is the mind with which I think. We've talked about before that God created you. You are an idea in His mind. You are within His mind. He is within your mind. An idea cannot leave its source. A thought cannot leave its source. And this lesson reiterates that. You are eternally connected to God. It cannot be changed. It cannot be disconnected. It cannot be altered. There is never a moment where you cannot access that divine mind that you share. This is what this course, the workbook lessons, this entire theoretical framework is helping us to remember. God is the mind with which I think. God is in my mind. I am very holy was one of the lessons we did recently. We are trying to remember that we have an eternal connection to God, that our mind is divinely connected to the mind of God, that we can return to that place of holiness, wisdom, power, strength, clarity, understanding, and love at any moment we remember to rejoin with the mind of God. The Course is teaching us how to think as God thinks here in a loveless world. The Course says our ability to change the world lies in our ability to change our mind about the world. That the true nature of the world is such that it is set up to foster separation and fear and lovelessness. And the true nature of reality is that God created me. I can never disconnect from that relationship, from that connection. I have all the attributes of God within me because He only creates more of Himself. And I'm in the world but not of the world, so I can choose to rejoin with that truth and bring all of that into the loveless world. When you change your mind about who you are and what the world is and see it for the truth, the truer truth, you can transform it. The lesson yesterday talked about the equipment that you need is not necessarily out there, it's all within you. Your mind is a powerful tool for transformation in the world, for your own life, for your own experience, and collectively in the world. That when we reconnect with the mind of God, we reconnect with the holiness that is innately within us, and that from that place we can see clearly. We can have that right, true perception, which leads to wisdom and understanding. We can become miracle workers. We know how to transform that which is outside of us once we know how to transform the loveless thinking that is within us. And it all comes from changing our mind, shifting our perception and our thoughts from fear-based to loving thoughts. This lesson is very powerful. So many great sections within it. It's a really great pep talk if you are feeling limited in any way, because when we reconnect with the mind of God, that link is always within us. We can always choose to do that, but we get distracted and forget and don't do it. But when we do, we are connected to unlimited solutions, unlimited power, unlimited strength, unlimited wisdom, unlimited clarity. It's just the faucet is fully turned on, and we are plugged into that holiness and power of the universe, that all-encompassing power that God is. This lesson is telling us that it's all right there in our mind, at our fingertips, that we can tune into the frequency of holiness and love and God within us anytime we remember to do so. The world is presenting a different frequency to us. It would have us stay out of tune with the frequency of God, with the frequency of love and miracles, but that is always right there, and it's really not that hard to access. We just have to be practiced at getting to that place where all the thoughts of the world are passing us by, we're letting them go by, and we're going for something deeper and something more real and true. There are a few lines within this lesson that I must point out. As modern miracle workers, we need to remember this. We need to keep this at the forefront of our mind. These are so powerful. We will deny the world in favor of truth. We will remember what the truth is. We will not let the thoughts of the world hold us back. Done. We will not let the beliefs of the world tell us that what God would have us do is impossible. No more, not listening to that. Instead, we will try to recognize that only what God would have us do is possible. That is the mentality moving forward, miracle workers, because letting the world inform us, misinform us, is how we got to the place where we are now. This is very powerful. We will also try to understand only what God would have us do is what we want. And we will also try to remember that we cannot fail in doing what He would have us do. This section, miracle workers, this is what we need to remember moving forward. Who are you going to listen to? What voice are you going to listen to? The voice of the world, the voice of limitation, or, God? And how often do we take more seriously the voice of the world, the voice of the ego, the voice of smallness, instead of that consistent, certain, persevering, solid voice of God, for God within us, that is gently reminding us, gently talking to us all the time? That's how you know you're listening to the wrong voice too. You can't win with the voice of the world, the voice of the ego. You can never fail with the voice of God. And that is what this lesson is saying, that God is the mind with which I think. And I can choose not to join with that, and things won't work very well, or I can claim it and join with it. You have the power to transform your world, your experience, with your holiness, with your love, with your mind, with your thinking. That is where your power lies, because God is there. And you have the ability to work that miracle in your life by shifting your perception to that place. And you have the ability to work miracles and transform the world. We need everyone in full alignment, remembering your inherent holiness, that God is in your mind. You're very holy. God is the mind with which I think, and that is what will work miracles in the world. I'll see you tomorrow.